Okay, so this is the vape show today. I got the vape crew with us. Planet of the Vapes. You know what I mean? I have Farrell with us today.
Yo.
Also a vape. What type of vape unit are you using, dude?
That's a Vaporizo.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I got too.
No kidding.
Oh, same.
Oh.
Yeah, so I used to have the whole like mod.
Yes.
I used to own a company that produced them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before the FDA came in and fucked it up for everybody.
For real? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's called Gen 2.
No kidding.
Yeah. So we used to design like the bigger cloud competition ones.
Yeah.
Not that I was
the
into-
cooler ones. You know?
Not that I was into that, but there was a good dollar to be made in that.
I bet.
But yeah, I've reduced it to just like its efficiency now. So the
Right.
smaller, the no cloud.
Right.
Want to be able to do it in a grocery store. Or,
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
And then Shang Li,
So weird.
you used to make vapes as well.
I did the same exact type. It is crazy.
Then you got did you get a 3D printer or something?
I did to make the where the batteries got hold inside the boxes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why
It
did
was
you
crazy.
stop doing that?
Because China.
Oh, really?
It was
China.
The biggest part about it that was cool was seeing how back then when China wasn't making all the vapes and it wasn't mainstream, you could make them and make good money. And then China gets involved and it shuts down like small business, we'll say.
Really? Yeah.
And it's-
The smallest, arguably.
yeah, you see it first line.
No shit.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I'm just here consuming.
Yeah.
I'm just a consumer in this
Hey,
market.
we appreciated you back in the day.
But that's funny. So anyway, before we started the show, and I'm using I don't know what this is. It's a geek vape.
Yeah.
A little on the nose, isn't it?
Branded appropriately.
So before we started the show, Shang Li we were talking in the office, and you're like, I like the turtle stuff because you did kind of grow up on turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you say grew up on turtles, what did you grow up on turtles wise?
The shows and then
The cartoon.
Cartoon.
Okay.
Had the characters.
The toys.
Watch the movies.
Watch the live action movies, which the first one is still great, by the way.
Love
Yeah.
it.
It's great. It still holds up.
What year was that?
I think 91.
I remember being it.
So
So I was like
young
10 years
lad.
old. So
Yeah.
it's right around the time.
Yeah, I remember. I show my kids that. I've shown my kids that, and every time I watch them, I'm like, God damn, this shit is still fucking good. It's because they get the brother thing right. Mm-hmm. They get the brotherhood of it right, and that's the core of the turtles. Like when fucking Raphael gets his ass whipped, after the fight with Leonardo, and he's laying up in that tub, and Leonardo just keeps constant vigil of him until he wakes up. Like that's what that shit is
That
about.
is true.
Well, there's also, and so born in 85, so, my memory back on some of this stuff is limited, but it feels like that was one of the first for kids movies that had adult humor mixed in.
Yeah, it definitely.
Or it's in that realm of like the early stage, because like before that it's like Bambi and
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, like, I'll watch this fucking movie again with the kids, but like
Well, so
that
there was
stuff.
so many jokes in there that I didn't get as a kid,
Right.
that I got as an adult. Like when he says, when Casey Jones, tries to hit him with a baseball bat, a golf club, whatever, and then he pulls out that like cricket mallet, and he's like, "What about cricket?" And then Raphael's like, "Cricket? You got to know what a crumpet is to know what cricket."
Yeah.
And like I was like, "What the fuck is all of this?" And it's like even little like cultural things, right? Like.
because it's like
what-
a legit movie. It's not just a kids movie.
Yeah. Like, what was that? Looked like a giant turtle in a trench coat. You said you're going to LaGuardia, right? Yeah. That's great. And then there's this one at the end that I always talk about where, would never fly today, but they're coming back from the farm and they're gearing up for the fight with Shredder, and they're in the basement, or in the sewer rather. And, Casey Jones is like, I can't sleep down here. I don't like tight spaces. I don't like enclosed spaces. And
Shit water wasn't a problem, but
yeah, and Donatello says, claustrophobic? And Casey Jones says, I've never even looked at another dude.
That's great. I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm watching that tonight.
It's fantastic.
With my younger daughter.
It's fantastic. And even like, when, Splinter like comes to them in that like fire vision after like Raphael has gotten his health back and they're like training and everything. He comes to him and he's like, I'm getting the fucking chills talking about this shit, but he's like your brothers, your family, like this is your strength. This is where like it gets it so right. And then it just turns it completely on its head in the second one because that first one had adult themes and violence and stuff like that, and the parents groups complained, and then
right, and they fucked it up.
Mainly white women, I imagine, and then
Karen.
In the second one we got them like swinging sausage links and everything else to like knock the bad guys out.
Too clownish.
I mean, even like the teenagers like hangout is still super fucking lit. Like every time I see it, I'm like, I would go there now. All they do is drink, smoke cigarettes, play video games, skateboard inside.
Yeah.
Like, the guy comes up, he's like, regular or menthol? Like,
it blows my mind how you remember so much.
Yeah. I mean, I must have watched that thing a million times. I watched it so much that I remember before it on the VHS tape, there was a commercial for Pizza Hut, because Pizza Hut and the Turtles franchise were like tied together. And there was even though oddly enough in the first Turtles, they ordered Domino's. It's Domino's.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Is like the address is like 133rd and an 8th. Where the fuck is 133rd and an 8th? It's like, you're standing on it, pal. But like they had something worked out, and there was a Pizza Hut commercial before the movie started on the VHS tape, and there was these kids that were like playing Little League, and there was this one kid out there, and it resonated with me because I was playing Little League at the time, and I hated being in the outfield, and it was like I play outfield, it's a wonder to how you gotta know how to catch, you gotta know how to throw, that's why I play in outfield, way out where the dandelions grow.
It's amazing that he fucking sings the song. Like, that's not even the movie.
What do you like better, Pizza Hut or Domino's?
So it's funny. So to me,
how far both have fallen.
So to me, there is there's a pizza conversation, right? The pizza conversation is like, what kind of pizza do you like? And you get into pizza. Mm-hmm. And then you can have the sub conversation of that, which is what chain pizza do you like, which is a different conversation.
Agreed.
So in the chain pizza, when it comes between pizza and Domino's, I do feel they are the big two, in my opinion, even though Pizza Hut is on its way out the door, it would seem. So I prefer the taste of Pizza Hut, but it tears my stomach to shreds.
I agree. It is crazy that Pizza Hut, they just shut down all their sit downs.
Yeah.
Because no one's sitting down at Pizza Hut anymore.
It's so sad.
America's way above that.
We don't even sit down at movie theaters anymore.
It's crazy how stuff is trying to turn so health conscious.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Well, I just remember like every Little League game, win or lose, would end at the Pizza Hut.
Had the little video games in the front. Like,
yeah, but you get those.
What a place.
And you get that card where it's like, in your fifth one, it's free for the little
Yeah. If you read a book during summer, you get a personal pen.
I read a fucking book.
I remember my dad taking me in there like, would you give me something?
I read Beowulf.
I was like, I think there's a Star Wars book. Like, that'll do. He read Star Wars. So one personal pen for the kid.
Domino's.
So Domino's
has better sides than they do pizza.
So Domino's is a store by store. So I just had Domino's at my buddy Dante's recently, and it was, Dante's probably going to listen to this. So like he treated, right, and to my whole family, and I bring a goof troop with me, So very grateful. Kids loved it and whatever. But I was like, man, this fucking pizza is mid as fuck. But my Domino's is great. Like the one across the street is fucking good Domino's.
So they're like their cheesy bread.
Great.
It's fucking fantastic.
It's great.
And I'm like, how did you fuck up pizza when your cheesy bread is
this good? The little chocolate brownie things, they're great.
I'm not a sweets guy.
There was two guys at your Halloween party that had a great idea about going around to pizza places and getting pizzas from like 5 different places.
I know those guys.
Geniuses. But,
where all did you guys? You guys stopped at 5 different ones.
Yeah,
right?
all the way from one way all the way to this way on our way there.
Wow.
I don't want to give a look.
No, it's okay.
And then we got Domino's.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Well, in comparison to those,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's not a
what
fair
it was.
comparison.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Because I consider all those pizzas fast food pizza. That's what I
Yeah, of course.
Fast food pizza.
Yeah.
Now, weirdly enough,
Mm-hmm.
Little Caesars, I'm kind of for it.
So-
I'm good with Little Caesars. Hey, hot and ready. But is it good?
It's on ready.
Hot and ready.
But I don't like their round, but their deep dish.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
And the
God.
crazy
Is it good?
bread?
I've never had it.
I don't know. I
the
always
bread
get
is
it when I'm
fucking
drunk,
good.
so it might be horrible.
I
love it.
I just always jokingly say you just got to watch yourself because they're always behind some garden style apartment with like.
Truth. I have one at the end of my road.
It's been named 7 different things.
And I'm like, this is a nice area. Why do we have a what else? Little Caesars.
Yeah. We were talking. I was talking to. So another guy that we all know, this guy Molina, right? I'm quite fond of him because he's a guy that like wants to learn about things of generations past. So like if you like tell him to like watch a movie or check out an album or read a book or whatever, like he will. Like
And he'll still like Drake.
yes, and he'll still like Drake. But he recently I was talking about Dipset and Cameron. Dipset's my favorite rap group of all time. Subjectively, objectively, no, but subjectively, they just happen to be my favorite group. And I was like, they did these little simple things, and I was like, but I would mimic Cameron all the time. Like me and my buddy Dange would always do like Cameron impressions, like just like if we were driving somewhere just to pass the time or whatever. And one Cameron impression that I used to do was I went to Pizza for some pizza. Who stabbed me in the back? Little Caesar. But all this Turtles talk came up because Shang Li was looking at my Turtles and he was like, why is this one set all,
So to speak?
all yeah, just in case, all with red masks? And the truth is because like Kevin Eastman, and I'm my memory's sketchy on this stuff, so I'm doing the best I can.
Okay.
Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were the guys that created the Turtles, and they basically took their tax refunds one year. They were struggling to make ends meet, and they dumped it into getting this Turtles comic book made. And they basically ripped off Daredevil. So like they put the masks around their eyes, and then they cut eye holes in them, but Daredevil was blind. Daredevil had a mentor whose name was Stick, and their mentor's name was Splinter. Daredevil fought the hand. The Ninja Turtles fought the foot. Like it was basically a Daredevil's ripoff. And they wore the red masks so that you, first of all, the original comic was black and white, so no one knew. And then when they started coloring them, I think it was so that the person, like the witness, couldn't tell which turtle was which. They couldn't delineate them between the four. But then when the children's cartoon got made, they had to do something to delineate so that kids would know who their favorite character was.
Right.
You know, and then that cartoon, it was the launch pad for everything. It you know what I mean? It launched the toys, obviously. It launched the live action movie later. It launched that video game arcade that everybody fucking played, you know.
I forgot about that. That was awesome.
You know, like it was all that kind of stuff. And that I'll never forget. My grandma took me to Columbia Mall, and there was a store there called Heroes World. And inside of Heroes World, I walked in, and there were the fucking Turtles, like the toys, like all of them there. And except for Shredder, like the first wave was the 4 Turtles, Shredder, and a Foot Soldier, I think, was just 6 in a wave. And they had just the Turtles. And I can't even remember which 2 I got, but she said, you can get 2. And I got 2. And I opened them like in the car on the way home. And we got to about like a mile from my house. And I was just like looking at them like sad, you know? And she was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was like, they're brothers. It's 4 brothers, you know. And she was like, "Oh, let's go get the other 2." And she drove me back.
Is this like the Bobby Skullface origin story?
I mean, sadly, I think it had started before then. But she took me back to the mall, and we got the other 2.
But this is like the collection. Like
no, because I had like Star Wars figures when I was like a little kid. They were hand-me-downs that I was like inseparable. So I mean, the true story is that there's like some sadness to it because my dad knew that my situation was fucked, right? Like my mom took everything and left. My house was fucking empty. There's pictures of me in my house with like no furniture, but like a Millennium Falcon and all the Star Wars figures. So like, I was going to my mom's. I was getting mistreated over there, which he knew, but he couldn't get the courts to fucking side with him. So like, I think he felt sorry for me. So he like bought me all this shit. So like, we didn't have a couch until I was in middle school, but we had fucking every fucking Star Wars figure, Transformers, Mask toys, G.I. Joe, fucking Turtles, like, you know, dinosaurs, you know what I mean? Like all that type of shit. Right. But we didn't have like a place to sit, you know, like, it's as a kid, I didn't know any better. And I never really felt like I was going without, which is great, you know, but looking back on it, like when I looked at the photo albums and I was like asking my dad, I was like, you know, I love what you've done with the place. What the fuck is going on here? You know? And he's like, we couldn't afford it. You know, like she took everything, you know? So like, you know, it's the gift and the curse. But I think because of that, it probably started that, like manic, you know, type behavior. And then my mother threw away, I had my Star Wars figures are mostly hand-me-downs from a cousin of mine. And because that shit hit in 77, I was born in 80, got into it probably like 84, 85. So like he was now 15, 16, didn't want that shit anymore, passed it down to me. And then my dad like would let me take shit over to my mom's house. And my mom had just bought like her first single family house. This is like probably 89, 90. And like, to me, that was like, we made it. Like I'd never been in a single family house. Like it was all apartments, trailers, townhouses. Like it was all that. And then I was like, fuck, like, damn, like which room is mine? You know, and when she got me like, well, she got my brother really, and then I just got to use it, but a sandbox, like one of them turtle ones, like with the turtle shell, and it had sand in it. You know,
no way.
Yeah, like
a sandbox with sand.
Well, I mean, like it was like my first time over there. You know, and it already was like ready to go. You know, and I was like, "Fuck, it's lit." You know, so like, I jumped in this fucking sandbox. I had my Star Wars figures, and I built like a Sarlacc pit. Not sure if any of you know what that is, but in one of the movies, there's like this sand pit with a monster's mouth at the bottom of it. Yeah.
With what's her name and what's the fucking fat
Jabba. Yep. So I was playing, I like made that scene. While I was doing that, this kid that lived in the neighborhood like walked down and he was like, I'm making a club. And I was like, all right. And he was like, you want to be in the club? And I was like, yeah, I'm down to be in the club. And he was like, all right, well, you have a bike? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, walk with me. I'm going to ride my bike and we're going to start the club. And I was like, all right. So I asked my mom if I could leave and start this club and all this shit. And she was like, yeah. So I just put the turtle shell back on I think I put it back. I may not have. But I fucked off with this kid, Fred. And
fucking Fred.
And he's cool. I talk to him every once in a while via Facebook. But my mom came outside, saw that I didn't clean up after myself and all this, and threw all that shit away. Threw the sand away, the fucking toys away, and I lost all my Star Wars figures. Damn. And then I think that is if my manic shit was started by my dad trying to make up for my shitty childhood, like that was the fucking last stroke that drove that fucking nail in where I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it all now. I'm gonna get it all. And then now I'm sitting in a pretty good spot.
Did you block her yet?
Let's make some noise for me healing.
Healing?
No.
Or compensating?
Yeah, probably the latter.
And nowadays, we wish our kids didn't have a couch to sit on because that's all they do.
Yeah. And we did it all. Like you know, as kids, like my dad's neighborhood was awesome because there was it was a densely populated neighborhood and there was a lot of kids always outside. And like everybody brought toys outside and played and everything else, or we'd bring guns outside and pretend we were shooting each other and we'd run around the neighborhood with guns, or we'd play baseball outside, like play catch outside and all that kind of shit. And then my mom's house was like a little bit different just because the houses were bigger, they were more spread apart, so it was like there wasn't as many kids, but I still had Fred. Fred, you know, and I'm actually grateful for it because like my oldest now is kind of like a geek, so like she stays inside most of the time, but she has a job and she leaves for that. But my younger two are like always outside playing with kids. Like there's always some shit going on. Some kids ringing my doorbell. Like, you know, so I'm grateful. Cool. Yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I feel like our two older kids are very similar. And when at work, sometimes we go through trailer parks, and I'm always jealous of the trailer parks because the kids are always outside playing.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of just growing up, where in normal like developments, You don't see it as much as you do. I don't want to live in a trailer park. Don't get me wrong, but
But it's fine if you do.
Want, totally fine.
I want to,
but I do wish my kids grew up.
I don't want foreskin, but it's fine if you have it.
For sure. I'm a little interested. I feel like I got robbed.
It is true. It's a give and take, really, honestly. Yeah. But yeah,
mainly take.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just remember, like, as a kid, so I went to private school, so like the friend group was really spread out. But I had one friend who was 2 miles away and it was all back roads, and like no thing to be like, hey, I'm gonna walk to Billy's house.
Right.
And then it would just be like, okay, be back before the streetlights come on, or call.
Yeah. The streetlights were a big thing for us too until I got older, and then it was like
no cell phones.
Yeah.
Like it was fucking.
That was the key. That was the key.
And you could just say like,
hey,
hey,
we couldn't be tracked.
We're gonna be at this place, and then
you could be wherever you want.
So.
That was the key, as we were the last generation that wasn't tracked. Mm-hmm. What's up, SK?
Can we let Mary out?
Can you put her in the Can you put her in her place, in her room? The playroom?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I
Why
didn't understand what you meant for
where we normally put her? The place where we normally put her?
Well, okay. Put her in the playroom.
That's what it's called. But yeah, but we couldn't be tracked. I had a pager later on, and my grandma would try to use it, but it, like, and I would hit her back. But I remember another grandma story with the toy store. As she got older, she'd like to drive less, right, and all that kind of stuff. And she drove me to the Toys R Us on Rolling Road, and that was like a far trip for her. But I was like really looking for something, and I was like, "Can you think you can get me up here?" I was like, "It's further than you like to go, but I'm gonna guide you in. I know where we're going." And she was like, "Okay." And I'm probably like, I'm probably in high school, And I remember her like had her little Chrysler Reliant, shoved that motherfucker into park, and she just, before I got out the car, she just put her hand on my leg, and I'm like looking at her, and she's just looking down at the steering wheel, and she was like, "When do you think you're gonna outgrow all this?"
To me, it looks like never.
I was like the moment I told her I was like, the moment I stopped caring. And
You care a lot,
and I care.
Maybe a little bit too much.
And I just never stopped. Okay, I did go through a phase where like I stopped buying the shit. I was living at my mom's house, and I just didn't have really the resources or the space or anything. And I just got out of it. I was heavy into like the music scene locally, and I was working all the time on that, so I just didn't have the time. And then as all that sort of subsided, then I just got back into it. Really,
I'm jealous of this though.
Are you?
I'm so interested in people that are very deep into things. This is like, I wish I had this.
Yeah.
I wish I could be into something as much as this, because I don't feel like I am.
Well, and I don't feel like I have any hobbies that are productive.
Yeah, I'm the same way. This is one hobby,
Yeah, drinking.
right?
It's a
If
hobby
there
of
was
mine
10
too.
hobbies that women didn't like, I meet all 10 of them.
Yeah,
So I think it's funny. We just looked at that recently.
I know. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think, most of them I meet,
Yeah.
but I don't get along with most women anyway.
The only thing that I do that women like, I guess, is read. But I only read once every 2 years. I'll like get a little kick and I'll read a book. I was going to come on here and be like, yeah, last night I was blacksmithing in my backyard. I made a bookmark from my book I'm reading. It's in Spanish. I'm trying out new things. I'm out taking pictures. So any women online, I want to hit me up. I was like, what kind of dude is this? Not fun.
and
The type of
thing
dude
is,
no
like,
dudes want to be around.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go to the casino and just drop $2,000 on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's true.
And you've got all this, and I have points.
Yeah.
I get free sandwiches at a casino. It's cool.
But I'm at a point with most of this where like I don't really buy so much these days. Like,
Well, someone asked, is there anything left to buy?
Or you would need a new house for this to fit it.
yeah. Now, so like, what if I were to tell you how much I spent this year in toys? You would still find it to be significant. But I can tell you, you may find it to be significant today, but it's half of what it was 2 or 3 years ago. You know, and it's really just filling holes, so to speak. Like there's spots here that I'm like, I'm still missing this or I'm still missing that, and when that comes out, I buy it. But a lot of it now for me is like $20 to $30. It's not really the expensive shit anymore.
You know, I was watching. I can't remember what I was watching. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But it's like this, you know, character that has a second life thing. So he goes to a storage shed and opens it up, and it's got like it's a living space in there. It's got like the things that are important to him. And I was like, man, it'd be cool if Bobby, like, if that was this for you, like you went somewhere and you like opened the door, like turn the light on, like shut the door, and you just like sat
in it. You know what's funny is I don't really get to enjoy it much. You know, like I try to enjoy it while I'm doing pods and shit, like just look around at some of this stuff. But like the stuff in the other room, I rarely get to enjoy it. Every now and then my wife will be like, let's go downstairs and, you know, have a glass of wine and sit
You'd
downstairs.
enjoy like cleaning everything?
No, so that's coming up March.
I know.
March is coming up, but like she'll bring me down and like just sit me down on the couch to like just take it all in for a minute, so to speak. And like
because March is when you find out what people did during the Halloween party.
It's true. And during Solstice, which you'll both be invited to this year. But like it's also interesting because April is usually the pickup shit month, similar to what's happened over here, although I'm not exactly sure what happened over here, but a couple things took a tumble. But like after I dust everything, it's all slippery. So shit'll be falling all over the fucking place for a month until it gets another film on it to like kind of solidify everything. I am looking to like make some upgrades though, because I mean for a number of reasons, but part of it's like a business now, right? So like I have to invest back into it, or Uncle Sam is going to take half of it. But I am looking to like upgrade some things to maybe prevent dust or stuff like that. But it has to be classy and it has to be not distracting. But it might be a worthwhile adventure rather. But like, you know, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, this is like a museum. People that haven't been here would appreciate this.
But I also feel like it's user friendly. You know, it's funny for the kitchen table, because when I bring people here, some of them will be like, holy shit, you know, and they're like walking around looking at it. And some people will walk right by all this shit. Like, who gives a fuck?
That's wild. Too. Because even if you don't, it's crazy because even if you don't care about any of this, it's still amazing just to see it, you know?
Well, because it shows how much time he's put into it.
Yeah. And but maybe it's the time that I grew up in that maybe I wasn't this deep into this stuff, but I still appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we were talking upstairs, like, what do kids of today have to appreciate in the future?
Yeah.
And, you know,
I was telling
Minecraft.
I mean, it's a big one. Fortnite is another one. And then like Twitchers and streamers and stuff like that. Like the Beast, Mr. Beast.
Oh, Mr. Beast.
You know, like that's going to be like their. And like I was telling Shang Li upstairs, I was like, man, like I'm so grateful that like, you know, I heard Whitney Houston sing. I saw Michael Jackson dance. I saw Prince play a guitar. I saw Mike Tyson knock a motherfucker out. You know,
not recently.
You know, I saw Robin Williams crack a joke. Like I got to see it, you know, and I think about like who these kids will have as icons, and it's fucking Mr. Beast and Kai Cenat.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, but maybe I'm not supposed to. You know?
That's true. But at the same time, I don't know.
Because when you think about that, like we think about our grandparents, and like they went from no TV and they lived through all of this technology to where we had smartphones when my grandmother passed away. So it's crazy to think what they've gone through. So before we were talking about Turtles arcade game, right? Like I remember going Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter,
fuck yeah.
You know, like going down to the arcade and having a good time, bam, hanging out with your friends. You know?
I mean, even home consoles, people would come over and play on home consoles.
Yeah, you remember when you could rent a console from Blockbuster?
Yeah. Remember when people, I don't know if you guys had this, but like I had people that would bring multiple TVs.
Oh, yeah.
And they would like, you know what I mean? And they'd have like Halo tournaments.
Who wants to split one TV in 4 ways?
We taped a cardboard box to a TV to play 007 GoldenEye.
Yeah.
So that you couldn't screen watch.
Yeah. Like, and so like even like the video game stuff was interactive, you know, and now it's all from home with a headset, and you know,
And
you're
it's
not
racist
and
as shit.
racist as fuck.
The Fortnite. My youngest daughter loves playing Fortnite, so I play with her. And I'm in the basement. She's upstairs, and we're talking on headsets. But that's how she is with all of her friends. I'll be like, "Why don't you go outside? Like, go." Why would I do that? I could just go online and play with them.
You know, kids, and rebellion kind of comes to mind with that. Like, you know, is it like I think about all the time because I'm like, man, like I feel like I'm a cool dad. Like it would be cool to have me as a dad. Like I'm stern on some things, but like I'm also gonna take you to wild ass parties and shit that I probably shouldn't be doing because I'm just like I'm down to have a good time, you know. And then I'm like, man, so how does a kid rebel from that, right? Like my father was very rigid, right? So there's nothing about me that's rigid. Like I rebelled 180 degrees from that. And I wonder, like, so Jaina, the other night at dinner, this is great.
Shout out to Jaina, by the way.
Yeah, and she's going to hate that she may never know. She'll know at some point. But she said that she was thinking about trying on a religion for size. And I was like, oh, yeah? You know, which? Mm-hmm. And the first words were Islam. And I was like, huh. I was like, okay, so I know the game well enough where I'm not going to be like, no, daughter of mine, you know, because then she's just going to put full steam into it, right? And I don't really care what she does as long as she's happy. But like, so I just start asking questions, right? And then you can tell she's agitated by the answers that she has to give, right? Because they're honest questions and they require honest answers, but has to say those things out of her mouth, and as she's listening to them come out of her mouth, you can tell that she's getting annoyed, right? And then my wife is like, you know, far from like a bra burning feminist, but she's definitely not on some like you're going to tell me what to wear type shit. Like, so like my wife is visibly upset, right? And I'm just kind of like asking questions and going into it. And then later on, you know, my wife and I are talking about it, and I'm like, look, what does a kid of a non-religious, and that's not to say like anti-God or atheist, because that's not what she's been raised around at all. But non-religious, how does a non-religious kid rebel? They get interested in religion.
Yeah, yeah. It's also a product of this time, though.
Yeah,
right. And so I have read the Quran.
I have too.
No,
but we can give us both one.
You don't know your enemy.
Because
I was in the service during a time when we were at war with.
Yeah, I don't want that to come across. I don't want that to come across wrong.
So like it's on paper, it is a beautiful religion. So I'm not anti-religion at all, even though I am an atheist. I went to Catholic school for 12 years,
right?
Like, you know, all that good shit. So it is a beautiful religion until you get to the law part.
Right.
Right. But it's also the same as Christianity, right? So if you look at, you know, the earlier books of the Old Testament, you know, not blending fibers, you know, not eating pork. And then I think just Christianity just is like, hey, people don't like that kind of shit. So that's the old book. The new book is a little bit less
guys,
rigid.
Throw some bacon on that tuna melt and let's have a sit down, shall we?
So yeah, so it's interesting.
Well, I think also she has I don't think that she'll be, I think part of it is just to get a reaction. But I think also she has been talking to a young lad, and that young lad is of the faith, and that might be having a bit of influence. But she's also like, she's in a lot of anime communities. In a lot of anime communities, it's like the same thing. Like a lot of kids are into them in regions where there's a lot of rigid rules and
sharing of ideas. And
correct.
Hey, that sounds
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So I think it's more curiosity. And she's not a very. She has never been. She's actually. It's always been me telling her to be like, hey, like, don't pretend that you're smart enough to deny the existence of God. You know, you don't even know. Like, you're having a hard time denying this B+ in algebra. You know what I mean? Like, Don't pretend you're smart enough to like. You're fucking 13 or whatever it was at the time, And so I've never been anti any sort of faith for her, but I think it was an interesting development.
Yeah, I'm interested to talk to my 19-year-old about this because we raised both of my kids. We just didn't talk about religion. Mm-hmm. But I would be totally for whatever they want. It was always, I got forced. I went through the whole Catholic thing, and I felt like my parents were just forcing me into it. I think I talked about this in the last one, maybe.
Maybe.
So we raised my daughter. Hey, when you get to the age where you want to choose what you believe in, go for it. I'm all for it. I don't, with everything in my life. If that's what you're into, I'm
Same.
for it 100%. So it would be good to bring up, like, hey, let's touch on this. Where do you feel now that you've had some life experiences?
Yeah. And I also told her, like, look, like, whatever you want to do, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others, like, I'm good with it. And I was like, but you're going to catch these jokes.
Oh yeah,
you're going to catch these jokes. These jokes are coming for you, and sometimes I'm going to make it difficult because sometimes I might be like, oh, you know what, we're going to do a big breakfast today, nice big delicious bacon
just
sausage breakfast. Just
if it's a good day,
just to mess with you because that's what we do here is we mess with each other.
So a good day is a breakfast with no hog.
Oh, that to some. I would have been disgusted if I was O'Shea Jackson. I would have thrown that plate right out the fucking window. I had a buddy of mine, Brutus, who passed away in 2010 due to drugs. And the question as to whether or not it's deliberate is kind of up in the air. But I should tell this story too. He got really high one night.
Oh, you told me this.
And he ended up, with another person, and they had an intimate evening together. And he came down off the high or whatever, woke up the next morning next to this person and is looking at this person. And he's like, this is either a really ugly woman or a dude. And I'm not sure I want to know the answer. So he just sort of shooed the person out of the house, like, oh, we got to go. We got stuff to do, blah, blah, blah. But he eventually did pass away, and he had a number of things going on in his life. So whatever. I bring all that up for a reason. What were you just talking about? How did I get here?
How did any of us get here?
That's deeper than I expected it to be. Fuck. Hold on a second. I got to go back.
Oh, good.
So I remember what it was now. Well, I didn't remember. I went back and checked. But we were having a talk at one time, Brutus and I, in a room full of people, about Ice Cube, and Brutus said, he said, yeah, I'm not really into O'Shea Jackson, and I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, just not for me. I hate white people Ice Cube, and I don't want to listen to any of this new shit whatsoever. Anything from Are We There Yet on, I'm out. So it always makes me laugh. That's why I always call him O'Shea Jackson. So anyway, Nerd Weeks. What do we have? Any? Shang Li, you were here first, so you would have gotten your coffee. Nobody got coffee. Farrell, how was your Nerd Week? If anything?
My Nerd Week has been.
I got to make some notes to mine.
Yeah, I've been busy with a lot of things, and unfortunately, none of them really nerd related. So I've been taking a class. For
just getting it out the way.
Professional advancement. Which has been taxing. So, and I don't know if I should even really talk about this because I have to speak in generalities too much, but I probably took it a little too late in the game. So a lot of the stuff that is supposed to be educational is barely a refresher, and definitely below where I'm at. So, just with the amount of homework and the classes at night and everything like that, it's just been, get back.
Yeah, that sucks.
Go to bed and not watch.
And I think I can foresee the footsteps as to why you would be taking this class. I'm no soothsayer, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, so the people at the top of the organization are coming to the end of their time, and I just think it's time for me to actually start thinking about moving into some of those roles. So.
So is this class going to get you another free vehicle with free gas?
Is that really the objective? Just have a fleet?
Eventually, that is the that isn't the
funny.
goal, but that is a perk.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, so that's been like Tuesday and Thursday. I'm getting back at like 10:30. That and my crippling addiction to sports gambling has really just knocked out everything else in my life. Though I am up pretty good in this month.
Yeah, that's good.
Up almost 3,000 this month. So
That's good.
I have one episode left of Lost.
Okay.
Or from, not Lost.
Oh, yeah,
From
yeah.
the creators of Lost.
Right.
And I've been kind of waiting for the right moment to watch that.
Uh-huh.
Because I want to have like phone off
Uh-huh.
and then like zero distractions.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is going to be a Sunday morning kind of, especially if I'm hungover this Sunday. That's going to
Before or after
Right.
church?
Well, some would call it my church. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's probably this Sunday.
Do you like From?
I do.
I love it.
I do.
I'm done, I think.
I'm a little bit
Are you?
worried.
I think so.
Wow.
I'm a little bit worried about it
I'm,
because the story's getting big.
it's getting big because it's
And-
getting outside of my attention.
Yeah.
Right. So it's getting big, and I just want to make sure that it has enough seasons to properly address the issues. One of my least favorite things is a show that gets too big for itself, and then we have to tie everything up.
Because that's what people say about Lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
Lost,
very similar.
Game of
I've never
Thrones.
seen Lost.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones was another one. There was an HBO show called John from Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I remember that
And
show.
I was like, for some reason, I was super into it.
Oh, yeah?
And it was one season, and I was like, is this guy Jesus? Like, what's happening here? And then they're like, yeah, it didn't really do well. So, and
Same with Carnival and Rome.
yeah, but at least with those, like, the premise of the show wasn't a mystery.
Right. But they just had. I only bring it up to say they had
Shorter than normal.
and
Yeah.
they got cut short.
But so it's like, years ago, I looked and like John from Cincinnati did like the creators say like, hey, it sucks that my show didn't get put on. Like, here's where we were going at. And he was just like, man, I'm not going to tell anybody. And I was like, you're a dickhead.
It's like Game of Thrones. I loved Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones because I felt like no one was safe.
Yeah.
They would get rid of any character. It didn't matter for the thing.
Yeah.
To this day, I still haven't watched the final season
So
because I've heard
You're
so many
scared?
negatives about it that I was.
it's not as bad as most people say,
I agree.
but
It's not as good as it could have been.
yeah, the quality of it is definitely lower. And that's because they were trying to tie up too much stuff. And then also because most people watching that show that wanted like, and I don't know why I'm just blanking on everybody's name now.
Yeah, I'm not good at names anyway. So
Khaleesi and Jon Snow to get together.
yeah, but they didn't understand how that
What was a ridiculous premise.
correct.
Right,
Correct.
ridiculous. Like, are you paying attention to the show?
They weren't.
Like it's supposed to be that there's supposed to be some sort of weird, friction, or love friction between them, but it was supposed to be that they diverged out at the end,
Right.
right. But yeah, the fact that they just like a child through just ripping everything down, finish this up. Like, we're not even going to go into that. He died off screen. Don't worry about him.
Right.
Was ridiculous. And then now that they're doing these spinoffs, I'm like, you didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have left it all open and nobody would have been mad.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so Lost, Game of Thrones, John from Cincinnati. So I'm worried that, like, if this MGM Plus,
Yeah.
whatever it is, doesn't take off, that it's just gonna end.
Yeah. Because there is too many. Like, I keep going back and forth when I'm watching it. Like, all right, what is this? Is it people having mental breakdowns and this is the world they're in? Like, I'm keep trying to figure out
What's the
what
angle?
is making this happen.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything.
And then there's like, she's pregnant. What is she pregnant with? Like, and I feel like there's more and more things going on. And is it getting too wide? And I'm like, but it's got me sucked in because I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to finishing that. or this episode not finishing the whole thing. And recently I've been big into the Korean War.
Oh, we've been talking about it recently.
Because I do think it isn't documented well, for most people. So,
it's not documented well for me.
yeah.
Like,
And I've read a bunch of stuff.
I remember it was. I think it was last year. I was like, "Did we win or lose that motherfucker?" Like, I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what the scorecard was on that bad boy.
To be fair, it's still going on.
Yeah, I guess so.
I
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have been going back into the military movies. I watched Fury again.
Oh, Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
it's good.
I really enjoy it, and I enjoy it for a different reason now. Like at first, the first watch, it's like, hey, this is a cool tank movie, killing Germans, Nazis, which is always a huge fan favorite.
Yeah.
But now I enjoy it for the character development and some of the subtle stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. I remember.
And what's his name is like that might be his best acting.
Who?
Was in Transformers.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, Shia LaGoof.
Shia LaDoof. He was good in Peanut Butter Falcon also.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
Yeah. Transformers, man, don't get me fucking started.
Yeah, the live action is not.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's so awful.
He was a straight up doof in those.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been kind of lame for me.
Shang Li, you got anything?
So I do have some stuff. Get my notes.
Yeah, get your notes.
Nothing great, but biggest thing, had a mustache going for 6 months.
It was
shaved it off.
Why?
So
it's
not
you were so
November
close
anymore.
Yeah, you were close to the end of Movember.
Yeah, and now I regretted it halfway through.
I'm almost into Dickcember. That's where I don't shave my dick for fucking Jesus.
I'm part of this organization that I had to go do something political, and I was like, let me look professional.
Yeah.
And then I shaved it off, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a bad mistake.
Oh, I disagree.
Do you?
Yeah, I disagree. So I'll tell you, it was impressive. It was an impressive mustache. It was, it was up there in the mustache you a few questions category, but I am. I don't know if I'm a fan of mustaches in general, but I tend to think, with few exceptions, like Mac's mustache is perfect because it does express something about him in his presentation.
What does it express?
That like he's kind of a character.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like with the curls in it and everything else.
I kind of want him to carry like a pocket watch.
For sure.
But like while yours was like, I was like, damn, like it was a bristly bad boy.
Yeah, it was thick.
It was.
It was annoying as fuck.
I bet.
Oh, you couldn't eat anything. I remember we were in Colorado and they had the best wings I've ever seen sitting out, right? And we're at this thing with like 100 people. And I was like, I can't eat those because it's just going to all be
get all over.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. People ask me like, oh, so we got a new employee where I work. And he saw me before his first day. And he came in on his first day, and he didn't know it was me. Like, he double-taked, and he's like, what happened to the mustache? like it is just weird. People keep asking me why I shaved it, and I just keep saying I got hit on by too many guys. Because the only people that freaking compliment you is dudes.
For sure.
And I'd be just walking, and someone would be like, hey, cool mustache. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And then the one dude at the Ravens game, he got mad that I didn't like appreciate that he appreciated my mustache.
Really?
And I was like, this is
what happened there?
He just, I forget what he said. He gave some wise ass comment. He's like, oh, like basically like, oh, fuck me. And I was like, dude, calm down.
I saw a picture of you at a Ravens game. With some gentleman like right in front of you with like his shirt.
Oh yeah, real fan Dan. Yeah, our seats are right behind him. He takes off his shirt and does this like RAVENS Raven. Yeah. And you could not call out sick from work and go to a Ravens game in those seats because you're going to be on the TV. Next to this fat guy with no shirt.
Your expression of like just like looking is so fucking good.
So he does it like at least 5 times a game, right? So towards the end, you're like, oh my God, enough of this, right? So by the time he takes his shirt off, he's already done this 4 times, right? So, and now I'm like, I'm going to intentionally be like, ugh.
What is it? What is his name?
Real Fan Dan.
Real Fan Dan.
Yeah. He's been doing it forever.
Has
It's
he?
great. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. It is cool being in that section because he's there. But
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Here we go.
I went to a Ravens game years ago, and it was like a Sunday night game, winter time against the Steelers.
Uh huh.
And
That's probably lit.
yeah, it was crazy. But there's this dude in front of us that had a fucking clock around his neck, like Flavor Flav, and he just kept screaming TikTok. It was the most.
I can't handle it, man.
It was the most ridiculous
It is fun.
game.
Oh.
I mean, it was cold as shit. Right, it was like 12 degrees out. This guy is just yelling TikTok. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go
I go
watch
to
this
every
from a
game.
fucking
It's
bar.
so much fun.
I have such an odd dichotomy with people. Like, I love people. I'm fascinated by them. Like, I love to watch them and study them and figure them out. And I love being in areas with large groups of people, like a city, like a New York City street or a shopping mall or something like that. But I don't like being in smaller spaces with lots of people I don't know. Something about it. Like I can be in a New York street at fucking rush hour and be perfectly happy. But if I'm in Costco yesterday, the fucking week before Thanksgiving, I'm fucking miserable. You know, and untrusting, and then often disgusted by people and their choices.
Yeah, I prefer not to like smell them.
Yeah.
You know, like,
But it is.
that's a little too close for me.
Yeah. But yeah, what else? Anything else?
Almost died at work.
Did you really?
So it's an embarrassing story.
Okay.
So how do I word this? Mopping.
Yes.
Sometimes you get good mopping jobs and you just want to get out the door fast. You ever
Yep.
watch the carpet cleaning videos on Facebook and you're like, damn, I would love to do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like
It
so
cleans the
satisfying.
fuck out.
So we have those at mopping.
Somebody calls
Right.
at 4 p.m.
Yep.
Shutting down at 5. Got to get this thing done.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there in the mopping station and the van's parked out in the bay and, you know, you get that call and you just run for the van because you want to get there to get that satisfying mopping job. So I'm running for the van, right? We're back in an office. It's a straight hallway. And the door going into where the van is a swinging door, right? And I tried to make a bunch of excuses on why this happened. But we're running down the hallway and I end up tripping. I'm nothing. Like, you ever see the videos where they put like the ninja that like kicks
Or the sharpshooter.
Yeah. I wish we had video because it would be perfect for that, right? Somehow I trip and I fall. And my back still hurts from it.
Really?
Did you write it up?
No, because I don't want to miss work. I should. My arm, I thought I broke my foot. You see right here?
Yeah.
I felt like I broke this bone in my forearm. It still hurts. Like if I push on the bone, like I definitely bruised the bone.
It makes sense that a
I go-
mopper wouldn't know what that bone's called.
Yeah, true. I have no clue. Not a very good mopper.
Well, what is a mop guy supposed to know about bones?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it makes sense.
So I go barreling through the door. I fall on my back, and I'm laying there like, oh my God, 5 seconds laying on the ground. Everybody on the shift thought I was dead because I'm in pain. Like my back feels like I blew my back out, man. I get up, we go. So I'm talking to my wife later, and I'm like, imagine. Oh, so the door to another mopping van that parks right outside the door from the office is open. And I don't know how I didn't crack my head on that or the step of it. Like, it was so close, right?
So you're like almost laying under it?
Yes.
Holy shit.
And I'm thinking afterwards, I'm like, imagine I died from this.
How would that be publicized on the
Yeah, how would my obituary be? Like, oh, running to the mopping van.
Yeah.
It was horrible, though. It still hurt.
That
3
sucks.
days, 3 mopping days later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had 2 similar things. One I did have to go off of
Yep. It's
for
true.
my ankle. And the other one was just, running through the back and slipped because somebody was washing one of the vans. Mm-hmm. And then just like bare feet on water in there. And then somebody was like in the van waiting for me to come out. And they said that they just saw my feet like
I've done that
up.
too.
And it's like crawl in. I'm like, just go.
We have a special mopping station, and I've done it there in the middle of the night. A mop job comes out. Dude, mop jobs. People that don't know, mop jobs are pretty amazing. In socks and hit that floor and the same thing. Whoop.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to be an active mopper for a while because I hurt my knee one time. Where we've recently moved, but back in the old place, there was Claude had brought in his change of clothes in a bag that was about as big as this fucking table and sat it in the middle of the floor. And I was carrying my change of clothes to a different mopping van that was called for. And I'm carrying it in front of me, and somehow I didn't see this huge fucking bag.
Right.
Tripped all over it, landed on my knee, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like I never felt so much pain from like a accident. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then like I didn't think much of it until I got out, and I tried. I couldn't bend my knee all the way, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" And I just got hired a year prior, and I was like, "That's it for me." They're gonna send me out,
Well, speaking of accidents,
So I actually, I can't say this. I can't say this. I can't say this because you're here.
What's that supposed to mean?
But I will tell you after.
Okay.
Just remind me. But I had somebody tried to make a joke about it, and I had a retort that was.
Nice.
So good, in fact, that everybody just sort of let it go. It was one of my better ones. Anyway, just remind me.
All right.
Anything else?
The only other show that I've watched recently is Cross.
Oh yeah, this is about the guy that's from the series of books.
And I've read the books, ladies. I know that's a big thing you like. There's no ladies.
I love that's a big thing you like.
Yeah, because I think it's so ridiculous.
I know.
Oh man.
And I don't ever see them with those type of dudes.
Yeah. Like, oh, cool, my blacksmith husband. But I have read. There's a lot of books. I've read some of them. He's a detective. Books. He's a detective that is also like psychiatrist, and he has a degree in psychiatry. It's good. Yeah, it's just another show that I would like. It's good enough.
Yeah, I heard a podcast commercial about it on Drink Champs of all fucking places. But
yeah, the last it could have ended 2 episodes earlier because they have the main storyline and then there's just some other side storyline that doesn't matter.
Most shows could probably. Cut 2 episodes worth of nonsense out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like you guys were talking about last week about what series could just be 3 movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another series you missed that I feel is a series that I really enjoy and is The Wire.
Oh yeah. It's great. It's great. You ever see The Corner?
No.
Most people haven't. It's like the predecessor to The Wire.
Okay.
And it's based on a true story. The McCullough family, and the same guy that wrote The Wire that did fucking the other show. I always want to say Trespass, but that's not it. The other Baltimore crime show.
What is that one?
Does it start with an R? Fuck. Oh well, he did that as well, and he worked for the Baltimore Sun initially. He found this family, and I think they paid the family to allow him to live there in the house for a year, and he documents everything that happens to this family inside of a year. And inside of a year, the shit that happens to this family, I think I've lived a wild ass life. When I think about everything that I've done, I'm like, that's a wild life. What happened to this family in a year is probably wilder than my entire 40 years. Yeah. But what's cool about it is the book, which I read.
Nice.
ladies, is that like chapter for chapter they like tell a narrative of what happened like in the house, and then the next chapter will be like kind of a sociological breakdown of what is actually happening, you know? So like this girl, you know, gets pregnant and she's 15, and everybody, like her family, like celebrates and throws her a party and all this kind of stuff. She's in high school, like, you know, and it seems odd, right? Because like my wife, they probably would have cut my head off and then aborted the child. But then
You wouldn't have to do that. Once you cut the head off.
no, cut my head off and then aborted the child. But they would have, but then they go into this chapter where they're like, look, for this community, this is a rite of passage. This is not about the child. It's not about her losing her school career. This is about a girl becoming a woman. This is a quinceañera. This is a sweet 16. This is, you know, like, you know, it's fascinating stuff, you know? Anyway, they did a show, and the guy Rock, remember the show Rock? He was like a trash man. It was on Sunday Night Lineup on Fox in DC, as a matter of fact. Well, anyway, he produced it, and it's like a 6-episode series about this story of the McCulloughs, and it's amazing. And the lead character is DeAndre, is this lead character. He's like a young kid. He sells drugs. He's got 4 buddies. It's fascinating to see where all of them end up inside of a year. But his father, Gary McCullough, is tragic. They're from, I think, West Baltimore. Gary McCullough got a job as a security guard at Social Security in Woodlawn. With the money and benefits, was able to move his family out to the county in Woodlawn. Mom of their children, his wife, got bored living in the county, missed the city life, started throwing parties, started getting high at the parties, became a junkie, and then got Gary hooked on it. He became a junkie, lost his job. They lost their house. They had to go back to the city. Now like, they're all plunged back into it. But Gary, security guard, all that, like had his ambitions and everything else. Like he still lives by this like code of honor. You know, he's got to get high. Like he's got to, but he's not willing to do certain things to like jeopardize his morals and values in order to do it. So he keeps finding these like
logical loopholes.
Yeah, or schemes that are kind of victimless, lowercase v, you know, so that no one's getting hurt, you know, and like it's great. Like he doesn't always spend his money on dope, like and that like fucks up his like community, like his like dope community, like their crew, like they like can't understand it, but like he'll go and see, like he'll go and be like, fuck, I need to get clean, right? And he'll like buy some vitamins to like help him get clean, and then he went and saw Schindler's List, and he like went back and like was talking to this like group of people about Schindler's List and how the Germans and the Nazis more so, you know, manipulated an entire group of people into hating a specific type of people for what they saw as like their greater growth, you know. And he was like, we continue to do it to each other as people. Like we find these scapegoats and blah blah. He goes into this like deep dive, this like really philosophically fascinating, and then all of them like it's just quiet in this house, and then one of them goes, what the fuck type of dope fiend goes and watches a movie? That's the response, you know, where he's like stuck in it, you know.
He didn't believe in $20 is $20.
He's like a really tragic character. And I actually, when I was reading that book, I cried at the fucking end of it. Like it's the only time I ever read a novel and fucking like wept.
What was the name of this book?
The Corner.
The Corner.
Yeah, it's I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
It's better than Coruscant Nights, which is down there somewhere. Those are books that Pinkerton loaned me that I'll never read.
So I too read, air quote.
Listened?
I listened to a book. So all the dudes out there, Animal Farm again.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, I recommend it, and it's you know, especially if you're in like the Maryland area, like it's because you'll know the streets that they talk about. You'll be like, oh fuck, man, like
So the McCullough homes.
yeah, yep, all
I
same.
know I've heard of that name.
Yep, and there's a McCullough Street, like that. Yep, all the same family, same history.
So is that where they ended up being? Like, what's the?
It's been too long.
Gotcha.
It's been too long.
Well, maybe I'll give it a listen.
Yeah, give it a listen. See if it's available. Anything else?
No, that's it.
So I got a few things. One I want to get right out of the way is the Kendrick album. So Kendrick dropped an album, and I have complicated feelings about it. It's my personal favorite of his. And I say that because I bought 8 out of 12 songs off of it. So if you just compare it to his other work, I bought more songs off this album than I have any other album.
What was the average before?
So it's not high. I think Kendrick is phenomenal, but I tend to not like his music a whole lot. It's similar to Eminem in a way, where I think Eminem's phenomenal, but I tend not to like his music.
Except for during the beef.
Yeah, well, so that's some of my that's probably my favorite Kendrick material outside of DNA. DNA is probably my favorite Kendrick song.
It felt better when he was focused.
Yeah. Well, so maybe even one dimensional is a better way to say it. Like where there's a target.
Yeah.
You know, like because I think like some of his other stuff is a lot more cerebral and all this shit, but like I don't know if I'm at the place in my life where I have time to dissect that sort of stuff, or even have any interest to if I can't sonically get into it. I think if I could sonically get into it, then I could spend time with it and dissect it and live in it a bit.
But because the beef was so good, there was a reason to get into it.
Yes,
and it was sonically
and it was sonically good.
Yeah.
So I think that's it here. Now I don't think that this will go down in history, you know, as one of his best, but I enjoyed it a lot. I read a Pitchfork, which I think does pretty good reviews overall, but I read Pitchfork's review of it, and they gave it a 6.6. And my knee-jerk reaction to that was, damn, that's low. But after reading it, I read it, ladies. I did kind of appreciate what he was saying. I'm assuming what the writer was saying, but they were basically like, it's fun and it's enjoyable and it's a good listen, which I agree. And they were like, but how many victory laps does one take? And I was like, it's not a bad point, you know, because there's not a whole lot to it outside of him kind of cementing in stone, I am the best now, you know. But I'm here for that sort of talk. I like that shit. I like when people like brag about themselves in music. I think I enjoy it, you know. But it's I don't know if it'll go down in history as anything. But I'm a fan. I bought 8 out of 12 songs, and it's not the only album I bought this week that I liked a lot of. I like the new Manson record. I think I bought 8 out of 10 songs of those, and there's another guy, Chef G, who's not as well known.
I've been listening to some Manson in the past week and a half or so.
Yeah, it's good. It's not. It'll never be those others. It'll never.
But
you know,
but that was a point in time too.
Correct, but it's probably, to use your term, is probably the most focused album of his since that era. I think. So, I went to we went to Dante's house to do a podcast. He does he does a number of podcasts, you know. Which, hey, I can't say anything about that.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah. But he does this one called So You Like Horror, and I went out there a year ago or 2 years ago and did one on The Exorcist with Laura and Jaina, who Jaina had just seen it for the first time, and. Anyway, he had me back out there to have a conversation about whether or not it's cursed, right? Like the rumor of it, you know what I mean? Like, because all these people died, the fucking set caught on fire one time, like a bunch of weird shit. You know, and you know, he basically gets to the end and he's like, nope, not cursed. This is circumstantial. This is circumstantial. This had nothing to do with it. This is, you know, that's like his angle with the show. But it was good to go out there and talk and see it. Like, it was good for me to see his growth, so to speak. That like you know, like when I walked down into his basement 2 years ago or last year, whenever it was, like he had toys and shit and some shelving and stuff and some cool stuff, and then he had like
figures.
Yeah, and then he had like a table, a couple chairs, and like some mics, but it was all kind of haphazard. A couch was involved. It was just sort of like, you know, like, hey, we're doing this. And I'm like, all right. But this time I went down, like he had like a little station set up with controls. He had like a laptop over here. He had mics with arms on them and everything else. And I was like, dude, I'm just happy to see, like, you know, how far his little production had come, you know, because I know that I've struggled with it here, you know, like from the phases and stages that it's gone through here. And I'm actually looking to upgrade now too, but I don't know exactly what to do. I need like a splinter to like show me the next level, you know, but I don't know what to do.
What upgrades are worth it and make it better?
Yeah, so that's the question, right? So like mics, you know, but I think I put out a pretty good sounding product, like vocally, but like, you know, I could get even better mics. I would like to run everything through separate tracks onto this. Like if you see how this is recording now, everything's recording on the same track. Okay. But I would love if like you were on a track, and then I could tweak everybody's shit. So like when my wife is here and nobody can hear because she's talking like this. And I move the microphone close to her mouth, and then she just moves over here. So, like, and I could like tweak her and turn her up.
So you can turn her up?
So I can turn her up now with these, but I usually just have everybody maxed out. And I probably, honestly, because I'm always louder than everybody, if I turn myself down a little bit, it probably would be a better overall mix.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be the Bobby Show.
Because I always wonder about that with...
You're going to fit in with my fucking listeners just fine.
I always wonder about that with talking on a radio, like a walkie-talkie style radio.
Like a ham radio?
Yeah. That in 2024, if I talk like this and then someone else talks like this,
why they can't
that
level
we
it?
Can't just make it that it comes across the same level all the time.
Yeah.
Like, how is there not something that can automatically do that?
Well, there is like there's stuff, I don't know, in that world, but like in this world, there's stuff that I can do, like limiters and everything else, and but like it's impossible to do when we're all on the same track. So there's just little shit like that. Like I would like to get actually, you see this like between these two lights in the ceiling. I would like to get a television set up on the ceiling that could swing down. That like I could bring up trailers and stuff to talk about.
If you were watching a video on your phone and the guests can't see what you're and we're just listening to it. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like if you had another guy,
that sort of stuff. Yeah.
If you had another guy that just Googled stuff.
Yeah. I would love that. I would love that.
You need the hexagon lighting in here too.
We used to have a guy that like, because back in the day when Adam and I used to do it by ourselves, Joey was pretty much just like an audience member. He just sat off to the side and laughed at shit. Or you know, and then we had another guy that just Googled to fact check us and do that kind of shit, or add it. We'd be like, who was that guy? Who's that guy? And he'd be like, you know, Gerald Cummings. You know, but it was also great because he would laugh too. So it did add something to the show when like a joke would get made, and then you hear all these people laughing in the background. Like as a listener, it makes it funnier. You know what I mean? But just little shit like that.
I can imagine it changes the dynamic though, because like right now we're just talking to each other. But if there's an audience here, like you may have a joke that's like,
so so it's different for us, right? But like if everybody was more regular, then it wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like then it wouldn't be a thing. And then, but anyway, so I was proud of him. I was proud of Dante's setup, and I was taken back by it. I'm looking forward to the show. I don't know when it's coming out, first week of December maybe or something. I forget what he was saying. And I made a good sexist joke on there. He was so
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So you know, I do enjoy a good one. So Dante's wife joined us as well. It's Laura, Jaina, myself, Dante, and Dante's wife Sarah. And I've known Sarah for fucking ever. I've known Dante forever. I got a really funny story about Sarah that I'll save, but because how long they've been dating. All right, I'll say it.
Was I supposed to say? Oh, tell us.
Yeah. So twist my arm. So she hung out at this place that we call the World, right? And with Dante, and it was towards the end, you know. And the World was a fucking brutal fucking place, very cutthroat and sometimes dangerous. Anyway, a lot of street guys there often, and this
streets.
Yeah. Some, I mean, I could tell you stories, doesn't matter, but like we're in there, and she's a very nice young white lady, Sarah, and the N-word is flying like the most haggard vulture to ever spread its wings.
Which word is that?
You know, and I wasn't partaking, obviously, but I was a person there, and you just, you know, when in Rome, you just go with the flow, and I'm just, you know, I don't need any soapbox to stand on regarding that. I'm just a guest here, and she like made like a visible sigh.
That's
And-
more audible.
Yes, but both, to be fair. I'm not wrong. You're just not wrong either. And I'm not all the way right. But Mario, whose house it was like, what's wrong with you? And she was like, I just, and she's like, he was like, what? And she said, I just hate that word. And he's like, fuck you hate it for. He's talking about like the whole room.
All right, Karen.
Yeah.
No, I'm
but
glad.
she's not.
I don't
She's great. But you know, we were in high school. It was but it was great to see her. Great to see Sophie, their kid, and But anyway, she was there, and Dante was like, "Hey, I got a question," and I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You think a woman could land a plane?" And I was like a pilot or like just a random woman? He's like, "What? It doesn't matter. Take woman out of it. A random person could just if the two pilots fell out and they're like, Bobby, step up into the cockpit. Do you think you could land a plane?" And I was like, "No." And then he looked over at Sarah and was like, "See, nobody can fucking just land a plane." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, she thinks she could just land a plane if she had to. And I was like, "Let's work on the motor vehicle first, ladies."
So that is topical.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I found it within the last couple of days. There was some study put out that showed that they asked a bunch of random guys, and like 55% of guys asked thought that they could land a plane in an emergency.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I could take off.
And it was super.
I couldn't land.
And compared to
Really?
women,
You think you got? I don't even.
Yeah, anybody can take off. It's full throttle and pull back.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Landing, you got to land onto a stationary object.
Well, no. I mean, I understand the concept physically.
I even know some of the things you'd have to say. V1, rotate. Yeah, you know.
I don't know shit about it.
I like watching.
You watch Flight Simulator TikTok
No,
videos,
no.
don't you?
No, it's better than that.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's plenty of vehicles I've been in. There's plenty of vehicles that I've operated that I've been like, I don't know what all these buttons do.
We know.
I watch air disasters.
It's called the mirror.
I know what it does. I just don't know how far it sticks out sometimes.
I used to fall asleep watching air disasters.
What's wrong with you, man?
Dude.
I sleep better knowing hundreds of people died for no reason.
Oh my God, you're a monster. Anyway, so went over there, had a great time. Thanked them for a great time, and they were all great. What else? So let me consult my notes. Then I watched some shit. So I watched the first episode of the Dune show
On HBO.
HBO. It's really good, but I didn't get it.
Well, so this is the one that's supposed to be closer to the books.
And I think it's a prequel. I'm having a hard time. I feel like Dune is something where I need a guide.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel the same way.
Well,
Have you seen?
More so of a guy.
Have you seen the movies?
I've tried watching
yeah,
it, but I can't.
It's hard to figure
yeah,
out.
yes.
So, like this, have you seen the second one?
No.
So the second one helps explain the first one,
Okay.
and the second one's fantastic.
Okay.
And I think that the show is going to help it all too. I just need. I'm going to need to watch it again. It was shot beautifully. It looked great. You know, like I was like I can tell this is good. I just don't know what's going on in it.
So is there going to be a problem with, because I tried to get into Dune years ago. Never read the books. Sorry, ladies.
Sorry,
This episode is going to be sorry, ladies.
or just yeah,
Or something like
yeah.
But so like I heard that the movies were strayed from the books, and that the show is back to the books. And I worry that as being somebody not into Dune, like deep into it, that I'm just going to be fucking confused.
It sounds like a lot of time needed.
Yeah,
You
it's
gotta read the books, watch the movies.
so I'm not.
And
I'm not reading the books.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies, but but I'm not. I there's comic books I can't bring myself to read just because I'm just not feeling it. And I read 2 pages and I fall asleep despite what I say on my fucking DOT test. You know, but like I just think that like I just think like it's like I can tell sometimes when something is above me. You know, like and it's not a knock on it. It's just that I need to catch up, but I'm willing to invest the time into it to catch up if it seems good, and I'm going to.
And the guide would help.
And a guide would help.
Yeah.
So like like that movie Tenet, you know, like I say it all the time, but like Tenet's one of those movies that like I don't really get, but when I watch it, I'm like, I know it works.
Right.
I know it's good. I just can't figure it out. You know, and I can say albums too, like albums that I listened to when they came out that I was like, I don't know. And then like a month later, I'm like, no, I love this. You know, it's like the music was ahead of my ear.
That's like, so you sent me the song Circles.
Yeah, by St. John.
And at first I listened to it and I was like, what is this? This is nothing I like, bro.
This shit is awesome.
I love it. You know, it's just like cars. I'm into cars. Like you get a new model of a car and you first see it and you're like, this looks horrible. And then I know you're not into cars, but 2 years later, you're like, I love that. Like it grows on you, you know, stuff grows on you. Circles. I was like, that's exactly how I felt. Now I'm like, when it comes on, I'm like, oh, I love this shit.
Yeah. It's sometimes you need to train your ear too. Like, you know, somebody will come out with an unorthodox style or melody or rhythm or something, and it's off-putting at first because your ear doesn't understand it, you know, and then you have to kind of train your ear to figure it out. And then once you figure it out, then you can make a decision as to whether or not you like it, but you need to have time to figure it out sometimes. Like, you know, but there's a bunch of records like two like stand out super far to me, and one is Puscifer has an album called Tiny Monsters, where I bought it, I listened to it, and I was about ready to throw it out the fucking window. I was like, man, fuck this, like, like, not lighthearted is not the right word, but soft, almost acoustic, like, I was out, you know?
Love it.
And I almost chucked it. And then, like, we went outside and listened to it again, and like there was like a fire pit going, and like I was like, oh no, wait, I was like, I wasn't listening to it right, you know, and then it clicked for me. And another one was Jay-Z's Blueprint. It was on 9/11. The first day I heard it, you know, and obviously the towers are falling down and everything else, but it wasn't really effective.
Wait, you had Jay-Z playing while watching the towers fall?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, and there's a funny story to this, but also Fabulous dropped that same day. I just remember it because I went to the store and bought both. We got let out of school early. I was at UMBC.
So the U.S. is under attack, and you're like, I'm going to go pick up 2 albums.
That's exactly what I did. I picked up my buddy Troy. We went over to, I think it was Record and Tape Traders in Catonsville, and you know, Part got in, and there was like this like hard rock dude that was like working at the counter, and I was like, can I get Ghetto Fabulous and the Blueprint, please? And he was like, sure. And then he like put Ghetto Fabulous down, and then he grabbed the Blueprint, and you know, H to the Izzo was like the big single off of the Blueprint, and then he was like, he just picked that up, and you know, the buildings are like collapsing and shit, and he just held it close to his face, and he went, Jay-Z, save us from the Izzos.
Some people worry about getting drafted, and it's like, if I'm not the first one on my block to own Blueprint.
Yeah, so then me and my buddy Troy, we got in the car. We're leaving Catonsville, like that main street in Catonsville. I don't know what it is. We're like, you know, Guitar Center's there and everything else. We're going down, and the first song.
One of the best bars ever is there, by the way.
What is it?
So it goes by a lot of different names. It's not owned by the same company anymore, but the family that owns most of that real estate, that commercial real estate, the son, his name Bobby.
Oh, I like him already.
Morrisburger. So most people know it as Morrisburgers. I don't know what it's actually called.
Got you.
But that was the craziest bar I've ever been in.
I thought you were going to say Shuffles.
That was great for a different reason. Bobby Morrisburger used to get knocked out on a nightly basis for being a dick to women.
Really?
And he was a fall down drunk. Like start drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning in his own bar, and by 3 p.m. he's
a mess.
Must have liked something Funko.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it.
He would say
Funko Pops.
Funko Pops. Yeah.
He would say something, get
nailed
knocked
it, dude.
out. Then he was buying Coke from his bouncer for a while, and his bouncer was selling him baby powder. And he was like, I think I need to start doing more Coke because I'm still drunk. He's just sort of buying baby powder.
So, sorry. No. So I'm going down that street. I don't know what it is. And but it's at Main Drag, and the intro to Blueprint is playing, and I got my buddy Troy in the car, and that the line in the intro where he says, because he had just beat that charge where he had stabbed somebody, it was Lance Rivera in a club. He had stabbed him over a album bootleg, and he just beat the charges, and he had just came off the I'm Innocent thing with R. Kelly and all that kind of stuff, ironically. And he had this line where he's like, I'm too sexy for jail, like I'm Right Said Fred. And me and my buddy Troy started laughing so fucking loud. I had to pull the car over because I thought I was going to fucking wreck. And like we just put it in park and laughed for like 15 minutes. I'm too sexy for jail, like I'm Right Said Fred.
And the best part is what's happening around you.
So then we ended up driving to his house, and we were watching. I've told this story before. We were watching the footage on the TV, but we had the Blueprint playing, and then we listened to Ghetto Fabulous afterwards. And
watching people jump from the towers.
Yeah,
it's where we lost all of our rights as Americans, and you're just listening to fucking music.
And so we're sitting there watching it, and I'll never forget, they were in Midtown and they were shooting downtown, and you can see the towers, you can see the smoke and all the shit, and maybe one tower has even collapsed at this point, and it is pandemonium. People are running, screaming, crying, like the whole bit. And this one dude, back to the punk rock kind of type guy, he comes in, he's got like his hair is like in spikes, he's got like spikes on his fucking leather jacket, chains hanging off of him, and while this lady's reporting, he's in the background, he just starts waving, going, "Hi, Mom."
Like some SLC punk looking motherfucker,
dude. And like I was like, that is so fucking New York, like, and I was laughing hysterically. His grandmother came home and ended up getting pissed that we were like not taking it seriously. Not that we weren't taking the situation seriously, just that we had the music going and fucking all that. His grandmother's a whole nother ball of wax, though. I'll never forget two classic lines that she said. One was, Dark Knight was getting ready to come out, right? And I was over at Troy's house, and there was this whole thing about his passing, right? It was like we were watching the news, and this whole thing about Heath Ledger being dead. And his grandmother came home, and she walked in, and she's like, what's this about? And Troy was like, it's the guy who plays Joker, Ma. He's dead. And then he was like, clown today, dead tomorrow.
True. Sure.
And then my other favorite story with her is I was over there. We were watching music videos on TV, on I think MTV Jams when that was a thing, and this 2 Chainz song came on. I couldn't even tell you what song it was, and she walked in and she was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "It's 2 Chainz, Ma." And she's like, "Look more like 2 dummies to me." She was great, and she's passing on now. God bless her, but she was great. Anyway, so where the fuck was I? Shows and shit I watched. Yeah, Dune. All right, and then the other thing, that I watched, and I didn't make it through. I ended up falling asleep because I was exhausted yesterday. Was but I can tell it's gonna. Well, I think it's gonna be good. It's a origin movie story, like similar to Tetris or the Air Jordan movie.
Tetris was really good.
It was really fucking good.
Really good.
Yeah. So it's called BlackBerry, and it's about like the BlackBerry phone and all that. Like,
yeah, and that I don't know much about that, but that talk about like innovation.
Yeah, game changer,
changing business,
change the world
and everything. That'd be fun to watch.
So I made it like I think a half hour, 40 minutes before I just fucking passed out.
Was it bad?
No, it seemed great.
Okay.
Seemed great. I can't fully say it's great yet because we're both looking at the same thing. Yeah. I can't fully say it's great yet because I didn't finish it.
Clean up aisle 3.
But everything looked as though it was going to be great.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious to finish it. And
what's surprising like about the Tetris story is that I don't know many people that knew any of that.
Me.
No, but even people that that I expect to
even smarter people.
No, definitely not that. Definitely not that. But I know quite a few people that have knowledge about certain things where they should not.
Right.
They're constantly like, let me look that up. Look that up, and then they commit it to memory for whatever reason. and I asking these people, and they're like, "Oh, I had no fucking idea." Like Soviet Union, what?
Yeah, fucking insane. And you know, I always thought as a kid that like it always seemed odd to me that it had such a Russian vibe to it. Like it seemed odd to me that it came with the Game Boy when Super Mario Land was like right behind it. And then it seemed odd that like when you turn it on, din, 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 din,
yeah.
I was like, why? I don't get any of this. And then seeing the movie, it's like, oh, I get it all now.
And I did like the happy ending.
Yeah,
kind
me
of
too.
100%.
Story.
100%.
you
I
know.
love happy endings.
And then that takes us to notes, of which we do have a few. So there's the Disney 2025 lineup. I'm just going to read it and then see if we have any hot takes. So Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is in January. That's a cartoon series, I think. Captain America Brave New World, theatrical. That's February. That looks great. Win or Lose, Pixar movie. I'm not familiar. Daredevil Born Again show, March 4th. I'm looking forward to that. Snow White, which I've made countless jokes about here, is March 21st.
Oh, that's Caterpillar Face.
Yeah, Caterpillar Face.
Yeah.
The Armature, I'm sorry, The Amateur is a theatrical. I'm not sure what that is. Andor Season 2 is April. I'm excited about that. Thunderbolts is theatrical in May. I'm not excited about that, but I know people are. Lilo and Stitch, theatrical, May 23rd. Elio, June 13th, Pixar. I don't know what that is. Ironheart, Disney Plus, June 24th. Fantastic Four, First Steps, theatrical, which is exciting. Eyes of Wakanda, Disney Plus, August 6th. Freakier Friday, Disney better cut it out.
Jesus.
Theatrical, August 8th. Marvel Zombies. That's when you want. That's when you want to wife one of them
You
up.
been drinking?
That's when you want to wife one of them up. A zombie. The Marvel Zombies, October 3rd, Disney Plus. Tron, Ares, theatrical in October. Predator Badlands, theatrical in November. Zootopia 2 with that little fat ass rabbit shaking her thing. November 26th, theatrical. Wonder Man, Disney Plus, December 2025. And then Avatar, Fire and Ash, December 2025.
Another Avatar movie, huh?
Another one, just what the world needed.
Yeah.
Not a big
first-
Avatar fan.
Not really.
You know,
First
the
one was
first
so
one,
good.
well, I didn't think the first one was good. I felt
haven't
like
seen
it'd
the
take
second one.
forever. The second one actually flowed good for me, and I was like, it's 3 hours, and I sat in there, and do not have the attention for 3 hours. And I was like, dang, it went by fast. Like it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one because I wasn't taken by the first one and just,
My little brother, well, he's not like little.
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
at the time. He was like in high school or whatever. Was super into Avatar, and like the whole family had to go on Thanksgiving Day to watch Avatar, and he was like super excited for us to see it. He'd already seen it, and I remember like walking out, and I like looked at my dad, and he's like, "Just pretend."
Yeah, and me saying I watched the second one, it was all right, doesn't mean I need a third.
Yes. So like Avatar is like forever solidified in my mind.
Well, Avatar, the only reason the first one was big was because there was like the push for big 3D.
Yeah. And it was just like an amped up Fern Gully.
Yeah, truth. Good movie though. Ferngully's good.
So speaking of staying on movies, Hasbro announced that they will not be co-financing any movies. This is what my sit down Saturday is. The video I was finishing up as you came today, so to speak. But a lot of people are worried that means no Transformers 2 as opposed to Transformers 1.
Oh no.
But I'm upset because Transformers 1 was fucking great. But
Yeah.
I also think that this doesn't mean that Paramount can't just do it or somebody else can't just fund it. It just means that Hasbro's not funding it. So I don't think it's necessarily doom and gloom, but I would say it doesn't look great. I highly recommend that Transformers 1 movie.
Well, maybe somebody can make a GoFundMe.
So it's funny because like I got into this discussion on that sit down Saturday, but like Transformers as a brand has an identity issue. So like Turtles are instantly recognizable. Everybody knows exactly who the fuck they are. It doesn't matter. Like you didn't know why they all had red masks, but you know that they're the fucking Turtles. You knew instantly. And it's the same with like Batman. Like Batman looks different in different iterations, but you can instantly tell it's Batman. Same for Wonder Woman, Superman, Joker, regardless. Like they're all instantly recognizable. Transformers have gone through so many like iterations and reboots and like reimaginations and everything that like it's kind of lost itself in a way where like it like Optimus Prime is recognizable, Bumblebee is recognizable, but everything else is I could probably to be fair, like I imagine that both of you gentlemen know who Optimus Prime is and know who Bumblebee is, but I would guess that I could show you images of certain iterations of Optimus Prime and you would have no idea who the fuck it was.
Probably.
Because of how they've just redesigned it so many times and not kept it iconic. And I think that that's the reason why Transformers, it doesn't have the same like foothold on shit the way that like Batman does or Wolverine or whatever. Like, you know, because sometimes they clip Optimus's ears off. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they clip his antennas off, and then they're like, "Who the fuck is this dude?" But anyway, so I'm bummed about that, but I'm hoping that something can come out of it. And if you want more information, check out Sit Down Saturday. The lady who did Milhouse voice on The Simpsons retires after like I think 30 some years of service.
How are they gonna?
So it's an interesting question. So like she did
Milhouse gonna die?
She's done 700 episodes. She's 70 years old now.
Oh, she's got more time. Come on, bitch.
And it started in 1989.
All you got to do is talk.
So she's done 35 years of Milhouse.
That's pretty crazy, actually.
You know, and what you know, and I, you know, thank you and all that. But like, what I find interesting is like when you have shows like that go on forever, but are relying on the voice. Like sooner or later, people are going to have to leave it. You know,
or they die.
You know,
maybe this is the beginning of AI.
Maybe.
Well, hopefully they buy the rights.
Years, they could definitely.
Yeah, they'll have to negotiate the rights to her voice.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting, something to chew on.
Good. She still looks good for 70.
I agree. I would make the argument better than I look at 43.
It'd be nice if there was a TV in here.
I know. Maybe next year. We'll see. I feel like I got to talk to somebody with more know-how than me to rig something like that up, rig up one of those Johnnies. You know, the CMAs happened. I bring this up for a couple reasons. There's some controversy.
Country Music Awards?
There's some controversy surrounding it.
3 hosts?
That's part of it.
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's part of it. They added there's always 2, but they've added this third. Yeah. That's part of it.
And she's the extra twang.
That's a big deal, having 3 instead of 2.
So apparently, I've never watched a CMAs. I have to be honest.
Me neither.
But apparently these 2 are a standard, right? Is that right? Am I right in saying that?
The last couple of years, it's been the same 2 hosts.
And now they're bringing in, you know, a third, you know, musketeer,
and it's a lady.
And a lady, you know, and then there's some other kind of controversy surrounding Beyonce's lack of nominations or wins with her country album that she put out.
Oh, that's right. I forgot she had a country album.
Yeah, and then this other guy, Shabuzi. That I don't know if he got nominated or he didn't win anything for sure. And then you know, so there's some controversy surrounding that. I don't know enough about it, but it has been big enough where it's hit my radar where I'm bringing it up. I know, so it sparked a conversation here at my house last night where my baby was like, do you like country music? And I was like, no, but I like some country music songs. And then she was like, which ones? And I was like, well, I'll tell you. It's enough where we have time to go over them right now. So we sat and listened to like the 5 or 6 country songs that I like last night. And some of them they were feeling, some of them they weren't feeling. But
yeah, I mean, like, so like the term country is kind of weird. I've found myself lately being into a certain subgenre that I don't like being associated with country because I think it's more Americana. But they typically get pushed into country, which is just...
So I tend, and I want to hear who some of these guys are, but I tend to like I like Dolly Parton and I like Kenny Rogers because I think that they have a lot of soul in their singing. Like it's country soul. And most country that I hear, I don't feel like there's a lot of soul in it, but this guy Shabuzi, I don't like any of the songs that I've heard from him, but I do feel like I'm like, man, there is some soul in his voice.
Yeah, like the weird like hip hop country,
like Jelly Bean or whatever his name.
Yeah,
no, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I know Pinkerton likes him. It's not Jelly Bean.
Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll.
I didn't even catch on to that.
I'm not trying to be
Jelly
disrespectful.
So like,
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I couldn't think.
and that's like the natural progression of music, right? Is like you're going to have some kind of like, mixing,
Inspirations and
and and I'm not too like I'm not classically trained in music, but I have listened to some things where it's like the tempo and the structure of songs, and a lot of country songs can mimic hip hop, and a lot of hip hop songs mimic country, and it's just
R&B as well.
Yeah, so you can just change the instruments out, change the twang, and
Old soul, like soul music, is like 70s, like pre what we kind of view as contemporary R&B now.
Right.
It has a lot in common. I mean, like just how easy "I Will Always Love You" switched over. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that's the stuff that I tend to gravitate towards more, and I think it's interesting. Like. I have to look into it more before I gauge an opinion on this. But I do think that the doors were opened more for Post Malone than they were for Beyonce, both playing in that same genre. But I'm not sure that the other side to that is if I'm not sure that Post Malone wasn't playing, like when the doors were open to him, that he didn't run in with arms open.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she did that, but I don't know that she didn't do that. I just need to look into it more.
I'd have to listen to her album.
So I didn't care for it. I know Travis. I hear you.
But sometimes I feel like
My buddy Travis loves some Beyonce, boy, but I could not get into that record at all.
Yeah, I feel like some of them do the crossover thing as like a money grab, and it's not true to the art, right? It's not really the music they wanted to put out. So I'd have to listen to it and see how I feel about that.
The only thing that I gained out of it is anytime, like if I was at work or something, and somebody would be like, "Hey, can you hold this?" And I'd be like, "This ain't Texas." It's like
I don't need to like country. Like,
No,
I'm not
no.
a country fan. I
Yeah.
do like the Shabuzi song.
Yeah, it's there's something to it, like,
Yeah.
and there's some soul in it, which I think is missing in a lot of modern country, contemporary country. Anyway, so that's the CMAs. That's my hot take. Okay, so then the other thing, I think we've talked about this before, but I called it witch porn. Apparently, Mattel's packaging for its Wicked movie doll lives up to its name, but not in a good way.
Wicked.com.
The toy manufacturer is apologizing after mistakenly including a web address for a pornographic site on the box holding the company's newly launched Wicked dolls, rather than the official website of the movie adaptation of the Tony Award-winning musical. According to social media users, the information on the doll's packaging leads to a website that requires people to be 18 years or older to enter. The company intended to direct people to a similarly worded URL promoting the two-part film starring singer Ariana Grande and actress Cynthia Erivo, I don't know, et cetera, et cetera. So the Wicked doll is made for children 4 years and older. Just as so
Yeah, so if you go
there could be some crossover at some
you go
point.
to wicked.com, one of the movies sponsored in the banner is Kenzie Loves Girls 2. And then not TOO, the number 2. So it's the sequel.
Dude, this is the first porn site I've been on that looks like the videos look like actual movies.
Yeah, well, Wicked is like a high production value. Like,
I never get into the high
no, me
production.
neither.
I'm at
Me
the
neither.
bottom of the barrel.
Same. I'm right there with you.
These have storylines and stuff. I don't need all that.
The stars of the Wicked series is Kenzie Taylor, Melody Marks, and Gal Ritchie.
Gal Ritchie, not Guy Ritchie.
Gal
Ritchie. I like it.
And
I like it.
If anybody's listening and is interested, they do have a Black Friday sale, $5 a month instead of $19.95.
Stormy Daniels
Oh,
and Jules with a Z Blue.
While talking about porn at this thing, you know the because I just saw this the other day. You know the cop that got in trouble or fired for
the
sleeping
female
with her
cop.
coworkers?
Yeah.
Why does she have an OnlyFans?
Yes,
Oh, I'm just not on.
Is it lit? I bet you.
I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, I would think that would be like she'd be rich by now.
Yeah, it was like that girl, that bad.
Huck Tua?
No.
Bad Bunny, not Bad Bunny,
Not Bad Bunny, Barbie.
Bad Barbie. Yeah. Well, you
She
and I
was
just
the
talked about.
Catch Me Outside. How about that? That girl.
Uh-huh.
She did an OnlyFans and made like millions.
Yeah. You and I just talked about OnlyFans the other night.
My OnlyFans is doing horrible. Joking.
It's doing very well.
I sit there and read books.
Ladies. So that's all I got for notes, and then just a couple questions.
But hey, how would you ask a question?
Oh, good. Thank you, Farrell.
You can email us at nerdrageradiomail@gmail.com.
So let's start here. Oh wait, we have done this. Okay, so this guy's name always makes me laugh, but BJ Savage. Greetings, Major Ragers. Hope you all had a great Halloween and possibly Thanksgiving, depending when you read this. Speaking of Halloween, I was Bobby for Halloween a few years ago. Nobody got it, but that's okay. The real ones know. Pick attached. Anyway, quick question. I turned the big 5-0 a few months ago. Well, happy birthday, man. And it really made me think about where I am in life right now. Like, what have I accomplished? What am I looking forward to from here? My question for you all is, can you name 3 things you are looking forward to right now, not counting toy or movie releases? P.S. 100%. I agree that Green Knight suck balls. It should stay at the silence Patreon level. Yeah, for sure. And then there's this Bobby Skullface Halloween costume. Yeah.
I wouldn't have known it wasn't you.
He put the mask on the right way.
Dude.
So this is 3 things you're looking forward to, like coming up, or just in general.
So it is. I think 3 things you're looking forward to, like in life. From here.
I can't wait to hear yours.
Number 1 has to be dying alone.
Number 2 is a buggy.
A mopping command vehicle. I don't think I have a third. Maybe I can die alone in my mopping command vehicle.
What about you?
This is hard.
Yeah.
And I say that because I'm not saying I have like this great life, but I try to live like I could die tomorrow and I'd be happy. Mm-hmm. You know, I guess I'd be looking forward to grandkids. Mm-hmm. You know, hopefully I have a boy because I have 2 girls. I want to experience the boy. Mm-hmm. I love my girls. Don't take it the wrong way.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
I just feel like this stuff, and I know your daughter's like this, but
not really.
I want to do some boy stuff.
They don't really like this.
I brought my daughter the other day. I'm getting off track to Sephora to get lip balm that she was so excited about. Like, I just want to go get like a Hot Wheels, you know. But other than that, like, I just live in the day.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to grandkids too. I think I'm looking forward to traveling. Like, traveling is going to be a portion of my life, you know, in about 13 years. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to like seeing the world.
It's not that cool.
Yeah, I'm sure. So the limited amount that I've done of it, I've really enjoyed, but I would like to do more. I did Spain, France, and Italy. And that's really about it. I mean, outside of the U.S., you know?
Yeah. So Spain, France, and Italy, that's your most different place you've been to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm fascinated by that stuff. Sociology is like, it gets my fucking juices going, you know? So like, I like seeing like, you know, little shit like, you know, a Royale with cheese does like blow my mind, you know? So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. So I would say that, grandkids, and then, I don't know.
Weed being federally legalized.
Yeah, let's make some noise for that.
Shannon, what's the most exotic place you've gone in your travels?
Guam. Which isn't exotic at all. It's a ghetto Hawaii. There's broken down cars and wild dogs everywhere. But it was cool. I had a great fucking time.
I really want to go to Thailand.
I want to go to Thailand also.
For exactly the reason you think.
We were talking about that at work, about playing Ladyboy Roulette. I'm in.
Same here.
And people that are not, you wouldn't think are in when talking about it at work, are in. So it's very weird. People are interested. And dude, talk about pushing, I hate saying this, pushing agendas. I do think ladyboys are being pushed because my porno. Why am I talking about porno? I get some ladyboys on there. I'm like, I don't even look at this shit. Why is it coming up?
Listening. Just listening.
Yeah, and then I look
knows
at it. I'm like, damn, she would fool me all day.
And all night.
And one day, hey, and if you fool me in the beginning, I'm in for the end. Too far?
No, not at all. I'm trying to think about like.
Actually, I changed it.
I'm actually looking forward to Empty Nest.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
like, and not that I don't love my kids and all that shit. I am, but like, I am anxiously looking forward to like my wife and I just
tubby time.
tub time, a little tub time. You know,
Tub time all the time.
you know, I am looking forward to it. I think that's it for me. Let's see what else. So. Oof, long one, so to speak. This is from Scott C. He says, "Hi, everybody. As I write this, it is Thursday before Thanksgiving, and I hope you are all well. This is my first email, so it might be a long one, so to speak. After a few years of watching videos from Toys, Secret Galaxy, MGO, and some guy named Bobby Skullface, I purchased my first MP figure 5 years ago and have not looked back. A few years into collecting, this is not the greatest bunch for this question, buddy, but we're going to get through it. A few years into collecting, I picked up my first 3P figure, FT Galvatron, and as of now, I'm closing in on 150 figures, assuming you count each of the teams twice for being in robot and combined mode. As much as the world is stressful at times, and I could do better with my display, I'm never down looking at the figures. At the end of 2022, when I heard you were focusing on Patreon content, I decided to subscribe at the $10 level, now $15. Well, let's make some noise for you, dude. While the Transformers content was what introduced me to your channel, Nerd Rage Radio is what I look forward to the most. You all help me get through the Mondays and at times have had very thought-provoking conversations at times. I like that. So thank you. Here's some questions. So you have questions in here for Joey and Chris. You're going to have to send those back in, buddy, because they're not here today, unfortunately. But here's now some questions. Apologies if I misspell any names. You didn't, actually. You nailed it. Bobby, last year you mentioned your daughter Jaina was having problems making friends in high school. Have things improved? I dealt with similar issues, but if I were to offer any unsolicited advice, it gets a lot better post-high school. For me, it happened when I started DJing in clubs, but even that has its challenges. I wish her nothing but the best navigating high school. So, yes, it has, and I think it happened because I got her into music.
And then high school is just so fucking weird.
Yeah. So she had a really rough time her freshman year, and I asked her, like, I was like, you know, part of the problem, I think, was anime, and she was just consumed with it. She watched anime movies, she read anime books, she watched anime television shows, she listened to anime-inspired or anime-themed music, she drew anime characters. She
gets stuck in
it was
just that and just the people that are into that.
Correct, which wasn't many here. So it was very a one-dimensional existence, and I was like, look, part of the problem is that you get hyper fixated on something and you can't diversify, you know? And I was like, would you be interested in listening to some music? And she said, yeah. And I sent her a bunch of artists that I feel alone, you know, that feel isolated, that don't connect with people, you know? And I sent her Reznor stuff. I sent her Manson stuff. I sent her Kanye.
Cudi?
I sent her Cudi. Yep. And anyway, she connected with Kanye and like got super into his music and like loved it, you know, and then like studied it and then people that were featured on projects or co-produced, she got into them. And then now she like kind of has an understanding of a lot of music. And because of that, she's been able to talk to other kids at school about music now and not just anime. And now she has like this little group of friends. It's like 4 or 5 friends and they all like music and they like different types of music, but they're just music nerds. And they have like, she used to like sit alone at lunch or like she would go sit in the hallway or something. And like now she has like a little lunch table with like 4 or 5 kids and they sit and talk about music and have their lunch and whatever. So like it has changed for her and it's been mostly due to just getting out of just anime. So yes, thank you for asking.
And one-dimensional people are just boring.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He has some questions for Joey about gaming. Sorry, he's not here. I'm trying to think if we can have any. Chris, how many corporations are trying to merge IPs to tug on nostalgia? How excited are you for a possible G.I. Joe Transformers movie? I'm not, but so yeah, neither is he. He says a few ideas for top fives, top 5 soundtracks. That is good. Top 5 video game music ideas. Top 5 board games is another good one. Top 5 movies that tried to duplicate the success of Star Wars and or Conan, and top 5 non-Disney Pixar animated movies. Some shout outs to Gamez. Hope he's getting better. Shout out to Dennis for allowing us to get in tight on the head sculpt. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3, probably the best game I've ever played on PC. And if I had an outro for the show, it would be Big Titty Goth Girls. That doesn't work. It's adjective body part. So you could say big titties. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Or goth titties.
Later. And he says he's MTG Pack Foils on Discord. Hey, Bobby, if you still need a 3 3/4 Willow ice cream man. Oh, I do, actually. I do. So I will hit you up. And let me pay for it, please. Willie Whammo writes in. He says, pick one, the rest falls. Howdy, Nerd Ragers. Been a fat minute since I wrote in, so I thought I'd say hello. Hope all is well. You'll be getting to know him soon, I think.
So to speak.
So to speak. Been on a bit of a Star Wars kick lately, not sure why. Rewatched the movies and shows and started reading some of the comics. Ever regret buying an entire toy line? I sure do. Recently bought 64 Power of the Force figures and almost instantly regretted it. Sniped it for a great deal, just over $100 for the whole lot, and they were all in box, but I realized how ridiculous these things are. They are. Non-movable elbow joints with the deal breaker for me, but the biggest problem is how overly muscular they were. It's also true. Google Power of the Force Lando. Bro looks ridiculous. Absolute steroids. Mike Tyson. Told the Realm about this, and Gort told me Power of the Force Chewbacca looked like a stripper. Hope all is well, and please continue to have a great show. Was there a question in here? I don't think so. Oh, ever regret buying an entire toy line? So there is one. Actually, I don't know. Sometimes I look around and I'm like, man. My biggest regret purchase-wise is really those quarter scale statues out front. They're it's outclassed my collection, and it's like they're beautiful and I love them, but they don't fit like aesthetically for me. And they take up a lot of real estate. And then the boxes are a fucking nightmare to store. And my wife won't let me get rid of the boxes in case we ever have to sell them and all that kind of shit. So like, it's just a nightmare. I mean, there's a bunch of toy lines I bought over the years, and I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? But
do you have boxes for? Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
No, only
a second house.
yeah. I have boxes for some stuff. So it's basically stuff that I think would sell, for a high dollar. And not for me, just in case something should happen to me, my wife can move it, and but then she was like, I don't think I could sell anything.
I bought this.
Fuck, that makes me feel terrible. And,
Warhammer 40K character.
Look at you!
Like 20 years ago.
Well,
more than that, 28 years ago, that I regretted.
You just bought what?
No, I had a whole.
You had an army?
Yeah.
What did you play?
The human. I can't even.
Like Imperial Guard?
Yeah. So, I had a fucking tank. I had a
fucking tank.
Yeah. I probably had back in the day. $3,000 worth of Warhammer.
Oh, really?
Stuff, and I used to play at GameStop or Games
Workshop at Anne Arundel?
No, in Elkridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was one down there.
Yeah, it's in that shopping center.
Oh, where the Pizza Hut was?
Yeah.
It
was the corner store, the little breezeway that separates the.
Yeah.
Is that first one?
No kidding. Yeah.
So I used to play there, but like I was into the game, and there was a couple of people that I was friends with that were into the game. What killed me was they didn't come painted.
Right. Yep.
And I'm not gifted in that realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish.
I just showed a picture from Amazon.
Yeah, it's look up Warhammer 40K. It's cool. It's fucking cool. It's a cool story and everything, but like a lot of military people are into it.
Yeah,
like a fuck ton.
Yeah, and I used to play Axis and Allies. Like, so there's a point in my military career where I was at Fort Dix, New Jersey for
yeah, you were.
DIX, where I was like a range safety. It was some weird thing with orders and everything. But
what year were you there?
8 or 9.
I was there in 03.
But yeah, so we had this day room set up with this insane Axis and Allies thing, and we had each one of us had a country, and we had whatever.
Sure.
And we would have like time limits for the game, so only the
like per turn or per the whole game
per turn,
like chess, like in the park.
Yeah, but it was like an hour.
Oh wow!
Like
Okay.
these games would last like 2 days.
No shit.
Right. And like people, you could be in there, like when the move happened, everybody could be in the room. And then after some amount of time, like the other team would have to leave and you could speak with your allies, like plans and stuff like that. We tried to get like super fucking into it. But yeah, so like Warhammer, I was into that minus the whole painting it. Because my army looked like
Just a bunch of
dog
gray
shit.
guys.
Just no, I painted them. They started out as black, all black, and then I went to like
primed.
yeah, and like I would try to like paint guns like just pewter and everything, but then I went to then I had different color squads.
Yeah.
So then like the red squad looked like a bunch of ass. But I got into it, and then like apparently. Some people get so into it that you have like a laser pointer and you'd use like mirrors that Dennis would use so you can actually see if this character has a line of sight on something else.
Yep.
And like it got interesting, but then that shop closed down. I got a license.
Right.
Started getting laid.
Right.
It was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I loved like the world and the story and the models and the
books were cool. Like,
just
like
100%. The art that was in the books and the explanation, the little stories and stuff. And then I liked painting them, and then I got kind of good at painting them. And then I like painted an entire army, like a huge army, like that I had amassed, and it was fucking gargantuan. And then I brought it to the store, and I was like, this is my army. And they're like, it's fucking incredible, because the paint jobs are really good, and I was like, I want to play. And I got my shit on the table, and I was like, I fucking hate this game. I fucking hate this game. I hate everything. I hate looking in books for the rules. I hate everything. And then I lost all interest.
Yeah.
When was the last time you painted anything?
So it's been a while.
Right?
I did this diorama last year, the Joker, Harvey Dent one. We can put a little, oh, sorry.
Oh, a little lighting.
A little light on the subject.
That looks good.
Yeah.
Do you wish you did more than you do?
Yes. Yes, but like I don't really know what to do now. I'm kind of stuck. Because I do feel good. Like after I get a dopamine drip for finishing something, and like putting it in, and I'm like, fuck, that's fucking tight, But I don't really get that too much anymore. But I would like to, I started painting a couple figures, like customizing figures, and I bought like some 3D kits that people had designed and put them together and then painted them, and I think they turned out all right, and that kind of gave me the drip and also fills a spot on the collection, so it's like nice, but I haven't done that in a while either. But I would like to get back into it. There's so much I want to do. All right, Astartes Pete, speaking of 40K, he says, hello, lovely boys. Hope you're all well. Finally managed to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Can't say I cared for the story, but in a switch your brain off and watch capacity, I loved it. It was just a fun, silly, over-the-top romp. Sometimes that's all I need. I did get a kick out of Cassandra Nova's random though she was. Now, question this week. Oh, no question this week. But for a movie to react, I'll give you The Breakfast Club. Oh, I haven't seen it in so long.
I lived that in high school because I always had school on Saturdays.
Did you really?
Oh, my senior year every Saturday because I was dumb.
So the premise of this game was react to it like a conservative or a liberal?
Yes.
Oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes, or both in an extreme way that would be like internet talk. And I'm trying to think. I mean, I think it was all white kids in the fucking Breakfast Club, wasn't it? It wasn't very diverse.
No, but
so there's
to be fair, it's who lives in that area.
Yeah, well, that didn't matter during Dunkirk.
True.
Maybe it is all whites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's about what sort of privilege, school are these kids going to, and they're probably handed everything, and that's the obvious.
And then the conservatives are just like, the way it should be.
I'm trying to think with the conservatives. Cause
that's not fair to paint conservatives like that. I'm sorry.
What would the conservative point, extreme conservative point of view be? I'm not sure if I have a good one for that. I'm not as familiar with it as I should be. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I will say there's a lot of like blowjob talk and shit in it because I watched it with my kids during COVID, and I was like, oh fuck,
I gotta talk about this.
All right, so Rich, what up, Rich? He says, good morning, gentlemen. I recently started listening to the Nerve Rage segments a lot more, and the movie choices interested me. I like a good laugh. Oh, God, I'm on the spot. I know you said movies in the 80s, 90s, late 70s. I'm unsure if these got mentioned, or at least I have not heard of them in a while. So if there is one a little too old, then here's a backup. But Blazing Saddles, I mean, Blazing Saddles, that almost writes itself, in terms of, oh, shit. Hold on one second. Let me stop this for just a second. All right, sorry, I'm irritated now. It's a fucking irritating phone call. So Blazing Saddles, I mean, I think the left kind of writes itself, and like,
yeah, I mean,
it's like just
I've never seen it.
I saw it with my dad when I was a kid.
I would never watch a movie like that.
There's so many great lines in that movie.
But I haven't seen it.
I say that, but I may not have actually ever seen it. Like, I said that as a joke, but I don't know.
I think the conservative thing could be like, all, country Western type had to be portrayed as racist and this and that. But I haven't seen the movie.
It's so hard to go back to a period of time like that and to reevaluate it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just mean like if it were to come out today.
Oh, it would never.
Well, no, I know, but what would the reaction be? Is the joke. I mean, that one is so of its time that, like, I mean, it would be. I think it would cause protests.
Yeah.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
From what I heard about it.
One of my favorite parts is when the sheriff is hooking up with the dancer girl, and she's like, "You want to go again?" He's like, "No, baby. 3 Wiener Schnitzels is my limit."
And then we got I'm sorry. I feel like I let you guys down on the movie ones this week, but they were hard. I haven't seen those movies in so long. Maybe we should put it into that game. But it was fun while it lasted. Right in from Andrew M. He said, "What's up, wizards?" And speaking of wizards, let's dive into Wicked. One of the biggest complaints that came in early and after early screenings is a part 1 of assumed to be 2 movies, something that was only revealed when watching the movie. Yeah, I just figured that out from the previous note about the toy. This is the second film as of late to do this. Dune revealed the part 1 subtitle in the film's intro, although that was a bit more expected. I myself am curious if this ends up becoming a trend like other IPs take on. I know The Hunger Games, Harry Potter, The Hobbit all took original novels and extended them over additional films, but those were known to be public before screening. I feel like it plays into the sunken cost fallacy. I may not know it was only half of a story, but if I'm already invested in it by the film's end, they'll get me for an additional ticket. And if both movies are made during one production time, the budget saving may end up being worth the risk. That's an interesting point. With less and less people going to theaters and budgets increasingly going up, 2 guaranteed tickets from developed fans of an IP might be an easier sell and more profitable than trying to appeal to general audiences for one movie. On the other side, it also just feels wrong to lie to your audience, and they might end up being pissed enough at it to not see the second film out of spite. Do you think we will see more of this trend in the future, and how do you think audiences should respond to this? Also, I don't know if you're still doing this politically reviewed movie send-ins by the time this gets read off, but I'll give you one cover the Poltergeist with an oh god, I don't know. That's another one I haven't seen in so long. I'm sorry, guys. I probably should have just said late 80s and 90s, maybe. So I think that the other movie that comes to mind with that shit of the surprise there's going to be a sequel is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Part 2 there was like at the end of it was like to be continued or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I necessarily feel any kind of way about it. I think that he may be right, that they may be dragging stuff out. But it's hard to say because I haven't seen Wicked Part 1 and Part 2.
Right.
And I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse Part 1 and Part 2. Dune Part 1 and Part 2 needed to be separate movies. There's just too much fucking story to tell.
I think that's I think they are going to do this more often. But I don't think it's necessarily to reduce cost. I think it's because they're looking for the next big series.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Right. But so as long as the movie works on its own, and not the universe they're building with the storyline, but as long as that movie works on its own, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
But when you get to something where it's like we're just not going to finish this story because we want to put out a part 2, like fuck you, like give me the story, give me a movie. Have we just lost the ability to do a 2-hour movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like I don't like. I read that or I listened to that interview with Matt Damon where he was like, a big problem in the movie industry is that movie budgets used to rely on DVD sales.
And now it's not there.
And now it's not there. So like you can't do these like really big movies with great writers, great directors, great actors, great composers for the score and everything else. Like there's just not enough money.
Eventually, the actors are just going to make less.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the budget's the budget.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think that like, the shit from COVID and then the streaming era, like those two things, along with some of like the big franchises kind of wrapping up, like the Marvel, is still ongoing, but the big story kind of wrapped up. Game of Thrones big story kind of wrapped up. Star Wars big story kind of wrapped up. And I think you're right that they're probably looking for the next big thing, to get, not just the toys, but the lunch boxes and the T-shirts and the fucking bedspreads.
And also like the ticket sales, like how many people are going to the theater now?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the most successful movie of 2024 was.
At the box office?
Yeah, I'm Googling it. Most successful movie of 2024 box office. Inside Out 2, then Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Despicable Me 4, and then Dune Part 2. And only the first two went over $1 billion. I wonder how that compares to...
So what's the trend there? What's the common theme?
Kids.
Yeah.
And that's why when you talk about Transformers and how you feel it's not iconic, do they not care about iconic because they just care about what's going to sell the kids of today's age so they get the money?
So, yeah, but I don't think they've done a good job of making Transformers matter to kids. And I think part of that is because they completely have redefined them, and no kid latches on in the same way because My Optimus Prime is only My Optimus Prime for 3 years, and then it becomes a completely different Optimus Prime. So comparing it to 2019, Avengers Endgame, almost $3 billion. Lion King, $1.5 billion. Frozen 2, $1.5 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home, $1.25 billion. So the top 4 movies of 2019, all of them well over $1 billion.
Right.
And then 2024, 2 of them went over $1 billion.
Yeah.
And none of them made $2 billion.
And I think that's why a lot of the streaming platforms are taking over the box office hit kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But that doesn't seem sustainable either.
I agree.
Like how many people need to pay $15 a month for you to put out $20 billion worth of product in a year?
Yeah.
And then how long am I going to pay $15 a month for 6 fucking movies?
Yeah.
It costs you $20 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So with that, we can wrap up. Thank you guys for coming out.
Of course.
It's great.
It was a good time. Shout out to Joey and Chris, of course, on assignment. Shout out to Dante on Facebook, to Phil, Maryland Phil on our notes and on Twitter, and Jana on Instagram, and Ricky Tiki Timber on the videos. And with that,
excellent elbows.
Moist thighs.
tight dick player. What was the first word? Excellent?
Excellent elbows. I just wanted to put something ridiculous.